Have you ever wondered how one person can change everything in an instant? Watch what happens when a routine traffic stop takes a jaw-dropping twist. When the woman's husband arrives with a badge, the officers freeze. What happens next will leave you speechless. Angela Hayes adjusted her rearview mirror, the hum of the highway fading as she turned onto a quiet suburban road outside Dallas. The evening air was thick, and the soft glow of streetlights reflected off her shimmering evening gown. She had just left a charity gala, a night dedicated to supporting the community center she passionately advocated for. Angela felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but more than anything, she was eager to get home to her family. Her phone buzzed on the passenger seat. Malcolm Hayes, her husband, his name flashing on the screen. Dallas County's newly appointed police commissioner. Angela smiled slightly, whispering, "Almost home?" without picking up. Then, red and blue lights flared in her rearview mirror. She frowned, easing off the gas as a patrol car pulled in behind her. A quick mental scan: no speeding, no red lights, no phone use. Why am I getting pulled over? Sighing, she signaled and pulled to the side of the road, lowering her window just as a tall officer approached, his expression unreadable. "License and registration," he said. No greeting, no explanation. Angela handed over her documents without hesitation. "Good evening, officer. Can you tell me why I'm being stopped?" The cop glanced at her license, then back at her. "We received a report of a vehicle matching this description involved in suspicious activity in the area." Her pulse quickened. "Suspicious activity. Step out of the car," he ordered. Angela hesitated. "I'm sorry, but out." "Now," he snapped. Another patrol car pulled up, two more officers stepping out, flashlights cutting through the dark, aiming straight at her. Angela inhaled sharply, fingers trembling slightly as she unbuckled her seatbelt. Slowly, she opened the door and stepped out, keeping her hands visible just as Malcolm had taught her. "I'm cooperating," she said evenly, "but I'd like to know why I'm being treated like this." Her calm demeanor seemed to irritate them. One officer started rummaging through her car without permission, flipping through the back seat and opening the trunk. The other two stood close, watching her every move like she was a threat. Angela felt heat rise in her chest: humiliation, frustration, a slow burning fury. "I wanted to call my husband," she said firmly. One of the officers smirked. "You can do that after we're done here." Angela clenched her jaw but didn't argue. She knew better. Her car's trunk, filled with boxes of brochures and event materials from the gala, was now being tossed around like evidence at a crime scene. One cop held up a stack of papers. "What's this?" Angela met his eyes. "Flyers. From a charity event." He stared at her for a beat, then dumped them back carelessly. A younger officer, looking slightly unsure, stepped forward. "Do you have any weapons, drugs, or anything illegal in the vehicle?" "No." Angela's patience was razor thin. "I've already told you I haven't done anything wrong, and I'd really like to know why I'm being treated this way." The senior officer narrowed his eyes. "We're just doing our job." He slammed the trunk shut. Angela's phone was still on the passenger seat, ringing again. "Malcolm, can I get my phone now?" she asked, voice tight. The officers exchanged glances. Something about her confidence was making them uneasy. "No sudden movements," one muttered. Angela suppressed a scoff, but she complied, moving deliberately as she reached for her phone. They were hoping she'd resist. She didn't. "We're checking your plates and license," another officer said, speaking into his radio. Angela folded her arms, standing tall under the blinding headlights. She wasn't backing down. Her fingers dialed Malcolm, steady as ever. He picked up on the first ring. "Angela? Are you okay? I've been calling you." She cut straight to the point. "Malcolm, I've been pulled over. They're searching my car without cause. I need you here, now." His voice shifted instantly, no warmth, just authority. "Where are you?" She rattled off her location. "Hurry." She ended the call, looking up to find all three officers watching her more closely now. They didn't know who she had just called, but they could tell the game had changed. Minutes dragged. Cars passed. A few slowed down, drivers craning their necks. Then, a deep, powerful engine rumbled in the distance. A sleek black SUV pulled up. The door swung open, and Malcolm Hayes stepped out. Now, the real confrontation was about to begin. If you find these stories inspiring and they motivate you to take action, please comment 9. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time. The air was thick with tension as Jordan Cole stepped out of his black SUV, his imposing frame radiating quiet authority. His expression was controlled, but beneath the surface, a storm brewed. Jordan wasn't the kind of man to lose his temper easily. Years of serving in law enforcement, most recently as the chief of police, had taught him the value of restraint, even in the most volatile situations. But tonight, seeing his wife, Camille, standing by the side of the road, surrounded by officers, her posture rigid with defiance, something inside him burned. He shut the car door with a deliberate click, the sound slicing through the charged air. The officers turned, their expressions guarded, their surprise barely concealed as they took in his confident stride. Jordan was sharply dressed in a tailored suit, his badge clipped to his belt, catching the glare of the streetlights. "Evening, gentlemen," he said, his tone deceptively calm but laced with authority. "I'm Jordan Cole, chief of police. Now, someone want to tell me why my wife is being detained and her car searched without cause?" The lead officer, a grizzled man with years on the force, straightened slightly but hesitated before meeting Jordan's gaze. "Sir, we're investigating a report. We received a call about suspicious activity involving a vehicle matching this description." Jordan's jaw tightened. Suspicious activity. A luxury sedan driven by a woman in evening wear coming home from a charity gala. "You do realize who you're talking to?" The younger officer beside him shifted uncomfortably, casting a wary glance at his partner. The older cop cleared his throat. "We weren't aware of her identity, sir. We were just following protocol." Jordan let out a slow breath, his patience thinning. "Protocol." His voice sharpened. "Since when does protocol involve searching a vehicle without consent or probable cause? Did she authorize this search?" Silence. "That's what I thought." He took a step forward, his presence commanding. The officers stiffened. The crowd gathering nearby murmured, some lifting their phones to record, the glow of flashing red and blue lights illuminating their faces. Finally, Camille spoke, her voice steady despite the frustration beneath it. "Jordan, they wouldn't even let me make a phone call at first. They treated me like a suspect the second they pulled me over." Jordan's gaze flickered to her, his expression momentarily softening before his focus snapped back to the officers. "Do you have any idea what kind of liability you've put yourselves in?" His voice was measured but carried weight. "You detained a law-abiding citizen, my wife, without just cause. That's not just bad policing, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen." One of the officers, clearly rattled, stammered, "Sir, we were just following standard procedure." Jordan cut him off, his tone ice cold. "Your actions say otherwise, and those cameras," he gestured toward the bystanders recording the scene, "will make sure the whole world sees exactly how you operate." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. The lead cop straightened his shoulders, trying to salvage control. "Chief Cole, let's not escalate things. Perhaps we can discuss this back at the precinct." Jordan let out a humorless chuckle. "Now you want to de-escalate? After humiliating my wife, violating her rights, and disregarding procedure? No, we settle this here, in front of everyone." The crowd had thickened. Some murmured in disbelief. Others whispered into their phones, broadcasting the scene in real time. Camille stood her ground, her expression calm, but Jordan saw the exhaustion in her eyes. He turned back to the officers, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Call your supervisor. Now." The lead officer hesitated, then reluctantly reached for his radio, his demeanor shifting from defiant to wary. The tension in the air was suffocating as they waited. The weight of accountability pressed down on the officers, the flashing lights reflecting in their uneasy gazes. Minutes stretched into eternity before another police sub pulled up. A man in a crisp uniform stepped out, Lieutenant Mark Dalton. His face was a mixture of irritation and confusion as he approached. "What's going on here?" Dalton asked, his gaze sweeping over the scene. He barely glanced at Camille before locking eyes with Jordan. Jordan's voice was controlled but firm. "Lieutenant Dalton, your officers detained my wife, conducted an unauthorized search, and so far have failed to justify their actions. I'm waiting for an explanation." Dalton's brows furrowed as realization hit him. "Chief Cole, I wasn't aware that's exactly the problem, Lieutenant." Jordan's voice was sharp, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the night air. Malcolm's voice was steady but sharp. "It shouldn't matter who she is. Every citizen deserves respect and fair treatment, and this is anything but." The lieutenant's jaw tightened as he turned to the officers. "Did you search her vehicle without cause?" The older officer hesitated. "We had a report about suspicious activity." "Cut the excuses." Malcolm snapped. "You had no cause. None. Not only have you harassed an innocent woman, But you've put this entire department under scrutiny. Do you even understand the gravity of what you've done? Donovan, the precinct commander, rubbed his temple. Commissioner, I assure you this will be investigated thoroughly. This isn't just about an investigation, it's about accountability, Malcolm countered. You don't get to sweep this under the rug, not this time. The crowd murmured, phones raised, recording every word. Malcolm turned to them, his voice unwavering. This is the behavior we've been fighting to eliminate. No one, no matter their status, their job, or their skin color, should endure this. This is why accountability matters. Applause rippled through the crowd. Angela, exhausted but resolute, watched her husband with pride. Donovan exhaled sharply. Perhaps we can move this discussion somewhere private. No, Malcolm said. Transparency happens here in front of the people you serve. By morning, the confrontation had gone viral. Hashtags like Justice for Angela and Accountability Matters trended, and news outlets broadcast the footage. The integrity of the Dallas County Police Department was under fire. At their kitchen table, Angela sipped her coffee as Malcolm scrolled through his phone. They're calling it the Hayes incident, he muttered. I knew it would get attention. But this, Angela set her cup down. It's not about us, Malcolm. It's about what this represents. How many people go through this every day and have no platform. Later that day, Malcolm stood at a press conference, Angela by his side. His voice was calm but firm. What happened last night was unacceptable. Those officers didn't just violate policy, they betrayed public trust. This is not who we are, and it's not who we will be. He let the silence stretch before continuing. There will be a full, transparent investigation. The officers involved are on administrative leave, effective immediately. But this isn't just about punishment, it's about systemic change. We must ask why this keeps happening and what we would do about it. The crowd erupted in applause, but Malcolm remained serious. Angela stepped forward. When I was pulled over, I felt powerless. I followed every instruction, but it didn't matter. I wasn't seen as a person, I was a problem. And I know I'm not alone. She took a steadying breath. But change is possible. It starts with accountability, with speaking out, and with leaders willing to challenge the system from within. We have to do better for everyone. In the weeks that followed, new training initiatives were implemented, and a citizens advisory board was formed to ensure transparency. Malcolm met with community leaders, promising real reform. One officer resigned, others faced disciplinary action. The message was clear, the days of unchecked misconduct were over. Angela became an advocate for justice, using her voice to amplify those without one. She shared her story, not out of anger, but out of hope. It's not just about what happened to me, she often said. It's about making sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. The Hayes family turned injustice into action. It wasn't easy, and the road ahead was long, but they faced it together, with courage, conviction, and an unwavering belief in a better future. This story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most unexpected moments can shift everything in an instant. What started as an ordinary traffic stop quickly became a moment of realization, where authority met its match in a twist no one saw coming. The presence of the husband, armed with a badge, changed the course of the encounter, revealing just how much power and influence can be concealed in the most unsuspecting places. It's a striking example of how situations can take unpredictable turns and how things are never quite as simple as they seem at first glance. If you found this story as mind-blowing as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Join us for more jaw-dropping moments and stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.